My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are both 26 and we have a 5-year-old son and 10-month-old girl together. I work as one of the managers at an IT company whilst she works as a receptionist at a hospital. She hasn't been working much due to pregnancy and maternity leave. I'm quite an outgoing person, whereas she is quite introverted and only really enjoys spending time with close family members, her family plus me and the children, and friends she's known since childhood. On Saturday, July 1st, 2023, an ex-employee from my place of work, age 23, came to my house thinking I would be around because he knows I don't work on Saturdays. He wanted to give me important documents that I had left at his house the previous day when we were discussing work-related matters. My wife opened the door and didn't know who he was, so he explained himself that he works for me, and then she allowed him inside and offered him coffee whilst he waits for me. I was at my parents' house 5 miles away. This is what happened next according to this ex-employee, as best I can remembering him saying over the phone 2 days ago, our conversation. Employee: do you know about me and your wife? Me: what do you mean? Explain. Employee: remember that day last month when you weren't home and I came to drop off documents, and sorry because I should have called you beforehand? Me: yes, so what? Employee: after your wife invited me in and offered to make coffee, we began to talk and quickly bonded over literature. She was very friendly, and I know what I'm about to tell you is very wrong of me to do, but we started kissing, and your son, who came into the living room at that moment, then asked who I was, and she told him not to worry, that he should just go watch TV. We then went upstairs and, slept together. Me: are you joking? Because if you're just trying to cause trouble, don't. Employee: no, it's not a lie. I just thought I would tell you because that little boy saw his mother with someone else, and years down the line, if you ever did find out, I wouldn't want you to think that I scared a little boy without caring. Remember that your wife is the married one, not me. I didn't force her. Me: I don't believe you at all. Employee: that is why I resigned, July 7th, because I didn't know whether you knew or not and would rather resign than have a sacking on my record. Me: I'll ask her, and if true, I'll deal with you appropriately. Employee: okay, but like I said, I didn't force her, not did I do anything illegal. You won't hear from me again, sorry. I was livid with anger and hurt at the same time. This is an employee who only started working for me in May, and I'm certain she never even knew he existed up until that day. I asked her, who denied it at first, but then owned up to what happened after she realized the severity of the situation, including the employee quitting. She said she is very sorry and doesn't know what came over her. I then said, apparently our son saw you, and then she began crying. I said to her that I was going to stay with my parents for a few days whilst I decide what to do. My parents, and even her family members too, are very supportive of me and do not condone what she did. I've seen my son on FaceTime and baby daughter too, and told them that I will be with them soon. I've decided that there is no coming back from this and will definitely get a divorce from my wife, but the only issue is custody and finances. I don't want to be like the many men who get a divorce due to the fault of their wives only to lose the house and only see the kids on the weekends. How do I go about this to ensure I don't lose the house and that I see my kids as equally, if not more than her? I live in England, by the way. Not quite sure why I'm doing this. I've been drinking quite heavily for most of today, so if I stop making sense, you all understand why. I'm 40 and my wife is 38. She was always adamant that we wouldn't have children. I wanted them, but loved her more than the idea of becoming a father. We met when I was 20 and she was 18, and were married by the time I was 22. She came from a very privileged background, and her parents did not approve of me. They are of the opinion that she married below her social station. A few months ago she visited her parents, and her father bought her a new car. Her parents have serious money, and I trusted her, so it wasn't something that I questioned. Plus, she's always received gifts from her father over the years. Why would this one be any different? A couple of weeks ago she told me that she was pregnant, and I was ecstatic. Happier than I've ever been. But it didn't last long. I got a call from a friend, and he told me that he'd seen her with her brother-in-law, sister's husband, while she was visiting her parents. She hadn't told me that she'd seen him. They've always had a weird dynamic that's made me uncomfortable, but I consoled myself with the view that she had chosen me. She could have been with him, but she had chosen me. My friend sent me some pictures, and it changed things. The images showed a couple that were very close. The image showed them gazing and holding each other. The intimate gestures of ones familiar with each other. Her gazing at home with a look that I had hoped was reserved for myself. His hands in her hair as he kissed her. Turns out it's more than likely he bought her the car. I confronted her about it, asked her what happened, but she lied. Told me she hadn't seen him. Told me that I should know the score between them, that she has to be civil. Very fucking civil. I showed her the pictures and told her to leave. That was a week ago. Then I did the maths in my head and realized the dates line up. There is a very real chance he might be the baby's father. Today I asked her for a DNA test, but she exploded at that. The thought of subjecting her baby to a test. But without one, I'll never accept this child as mine. This whole ordeal has made me reconsider my marriage. Not only that, but how honest she's been throughout it. How many of the gifts that she's received over the years have actually been from her father? Has she just spread her legs for any man that's bought her something nice? Have I quite literally married a whore? I've sent her sister the pictures. Not for any noble reason of thinking that she should know. I want to hurt my wife and brother-in-law, and that's the best way I know at the moment. On Monday, I think I'm going to talk to a lawyer and set the divorce proceedings in motion. Thank you for reading, and I'm sorry if this is a mess. My mental state isn't great and I've had a lot to drink. Edit, thanks for the support. Those that don't believe me, that's your prerogative. This is the internet and I understand your skepticism. I need her permission for a DNA test and she's made it clear that she won't give it. The next step is I get a divorce and lose half my stuff. Infidelity doesn't matter as much to the UK courts. Dyslexia and a high blood alcohol level are responsible for any spelling and grammatical mistakes. I'm 28, I had my first GF when I was 21. She was the first person I slept with too. I loved her. We got engaged and married and moved in together over a 6.5-year relationship. I started getting suspicious of her and one of her workmates who was extremely clingy towards her. There were many red flags, which I ignored as this woman was the love of my life and my wife. Why would she do anything so bad? But the suspicions kept building as more and more red flags appeared. I confronted her about these things, like him and her messaging constantly. I saw many messages from him to her with rows of heart emojis, how she would always fab our going places with him over me, even when I specifically asked if me and her, could go together. She took him to a bird park that I love to go to. She had him over for one night when I was away and the bed sheets were in the washing machine when I got home. I had enough on New Year's when she was purposefully being distant from me, like I was a bad guy or I had done something wrong. I took her phone and found her messages with him that night confessing to each other how much they loved each other. Obviously, I felt destroyed, but fool me attempted to keep our relationship going. I found they had been ***ing each other a few weeks afterwards Oswell, and after a massive argument she promised to change. Fool me. They continued their thing until August where I found them out again. Before then there had been instances where she was purposefully distant to me, and lo abd behold it was because she was doing things with him. Suspicion crept up again as she went to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, but only had one gym wear in the wash by the end of it, and she never was tired or did her fitness change. I demanded a divorce when I found out that she had named a star after him for his birthday, which was just a week or so before mine. As I had enough. She lied to friends and family about what had happened, stating that we were just getting distant and wanted different things. I retaliate with throwing everything on a FB post, including her confessions for the other guy, the naming the star purchase, photos of them out on trips which I had no clue of. I will admit, not my best moment, probably not fair either. After the divorce, I said I never wanted to hear or speak to her again. This was around 2 years ago, from time of posting, and in that time she has messaged me twice, both times I have completely ignored. But I keep the evidence of what she did safe just in case she tries anything. Honestly, for my first real relationship it was a roller coaster. 4 months later, 4 days before Christmas, I lost my job and my house and moved back into my mother's. Few years later and am back on my feet, with a new job, looking for a new house, and got back into my karate, which I'm in a kata squad now and back in touch with lots of friends.